Springboks 24, Ireland 13. The Boks get the job done. Not a pretty game of rugby. In fact, one of the weirdest games of rugby ever. And I think World Rugby will probably be under pressure to look at this game and re-look at, for example, the way that some of the aspects of the game are being officiated, being reffed. 6 cards, I think, in the end. 6 cards. Ireland down to 12 players at a stage. A 20-minute red card, a late yellow card for the Boks. It was just absolutely bizarre. I mean, if you go look at the match breakdown, you've got 4 tries to 1, a conversion apiece, 2 penalties for Ireland, 4 yellow cards for Ireland, a red card. I'll just actually refresh that. Sorry, there is actually a red card, a yellow card as well for the Boks. So let me just quickly refresh that because that'll update it. But just absolutely bizarre. And yeah, so there we go. There's so yellow card there for the Boks as well. So it was an interesting game, if nothing else. And yeah, I think a lot of people are going to be talking about it for a long, long time because the Irish. I mean, to be fair, there was maybe a contentious decision early on with regards to Sasha Zulu, but then the Irish cards were all deserved. But I mean, if we go through this match timeline, and you'll just see card on card on card. So if we go all the way down. Hang on, sorry, I'm on the wrong screen here. Let me just quickly get to the right screen, and we'll have a look at the cards because we had a early try chalked off from Ireland. After South Africa at the perfect start, the absolute perfect start. Damien Willems ended up with a phenomenal try and open scoring in at the 4th minute. Then in 20 minutes, James Ryan. Well, actually, Ireland score, but it gets chalked off because they see a dangerous clean out by James Ryan. And I mean, it was the most ridiculous clean out you'll ever see. He just basically launched himself, shoulder charges into Malcolm Marx. No control, no extent, arms over here. The definition of a shoulder charge. There's no justification whatsoever. How the fact that it wasn't a permanent red card is pretty amazing. If it was, however, we actually might have had to stop the game because of the amount of cards that actually happened. Because if a game gets down to 12 men, you actually have to stop the game. So very, very weird. But that was the start. That was the start. So then 10 minutes later, Jack Crowley replaces Tommy O'Brien, who got away for me with a yellow card. I mean, he ran into Canan Moodie. Canan Moodie sat him down, and the ref said he was passive. Then he went for an HIA. I don't understand how you can be passive in a tackle to the extent where you need an HIA. So a bit strange. And then Sam Prendergast got binned 2 minutes after that. Kubis Ranac eventually then scored. Sasha out of the extras. Then went down to 13 men. Ireland actually scored a few minutes later. Dan Sheehan, a couple of missed tackles, pretty poor from the Boks, to be perfectly honest. Jack Crowley made no mistake. And then himself got a yellow card for repeated infringements. On the 40-minute mark, well, actually, it was way after the 44-minute mark, really. We had scrum after scrum after scrum, and eventually Andrew Porter got yellow carded because of the continued infringements. And we actually got a penalty try when they were down to 12, which is usually a yellow card. But again, if it was a yellow card, we would have had to stop the game. So bizarre, absolutely bizarre. And you're thinking that at halftime, Springboks are in control, should be a cricket score, really. They should go on to put on lots of points. They didn't, to be perfectly honest. So penalty try over there. And then the second half, it all just became bizarre. Sasha Zulu scored a really good try. Spaced out wide, showed the dummy, handed off Gibson Park, went straight over, fantastic lacquer. And then we thought, I mean, there was a period about the 58th minute to about the 65th minute where we basically just camped on the 5-meter line, try after try, penalty after penalty at scrum time. Paddy McCarthy got yellow carded because there were so many penalties. We still had more scrum penalties, no penalty try. We just couldn't score. So fair enough, credit to Ireland because it was a very impressive defensive effort. How there's no penalty try, I'm not entirely sure. But, I mean, the possession stats and territory stats were wild. The Boks basically spent, at one stage, 32% of the game, the most of any of the areas of the park, in the Ireland 22. That's how dominant they were. But could not score points. Which, in many ways, we'll look at that and think it's a bit of a failure, to be perfectly honest. So if we look at, on the attack, for example, we carried more, we ran more, had more clean breaks, more offloads, and more possession, lots more territory as well. Defensively, I thought Ireland were solid, were very solid. They could have conceded a lot more tries, to be honest. And I think it does speak to the fact that when the game got chaotic, when it became quite scrappy, we struggled. The Boks struggled. And it was frustrating to see how much we struggle when you think of some of the tries we scored. You know, we've ran big scores into New Zealand, and all of a sudden we kind of just looked like we didn't know what to do. So it was a bit weird. It was a bit strange. Lineouts were pretty good from the Boks point of view. Stole a couple of the Irish ones. Scrums were phenomenal. I mean, Bowen Fenter, Thomas the Toy. Shout out actually Bowen Fenter. He goes on under a lot of pressure, and he did an absolute job on Tyg Furlong in that first half. Thomas the Toy as well, and then Kara Stenkamp, Wilco Low came on and just continued that. I mean, they absolutely decimated that Ireland scrum. In fact, I don't think I've ever seen such a decimation. Look at the penalties conceded. Ireland 18, Springboks 11, 4 yellow cards and a red card. Springboks 1 yellow card, and that's where I get my 6 cards in the match. I mean, bizarre. Look at some of the top performers. James Lowe, the most carries, not particularly effective, to be perfectly honest. In the first half was quite effective. Find a bit of space down that left-hand channel. Not so much in the second half. Jasper Wiese carried well as always. Damon De Lende carried well. Obviously, the Irish players topping the tackle charts there. Meters run, James Lowe, Sasha Famigomazulu at the top. Sasha was 7 points this evening, and nobody getting more than 1 try. But so it was a weird game, a very, very strange game. At the end of the day, the best way I can describe it in terms of it being comfortable is I don't think the Boks were ever going to lose the game. That was the thing. They were never going to lose. But we should have put in big scores, and we should have found more tries. So it is frustrating, but I think at the end of the day as well, where I'm sitting at, it's a long season. It's the end of the season. At the end of the day, the goal was to win. So if somebody had given me a 24 points to 13 victory at the beginning of the day, you would have taken it and said, thank you very much, I'm out of here. The way the game kind of went on, we probably should have put lots more points on. And I think Rusty will even say that maybe that we left points out there. But at the end of the day, the goal was to go to Dublin to get a victory. It was very contentious because it was a bizarre game. 6 cards. You don't want to see 6 cards. And actually, to be honest, I don't think any of them were unjustified. So, you know, all the Irish cards, I think, were pretty fair. They were just under so much pressure that they just couldn't cope. And that's where the cards kept coming. So, yeah, the Boks were never going to lose that game. I think that's the main thing. And then all of a sudden, towards the end, you know, Ireland had a late flurry and almost scored, but the Boks defense was pretty rigid. And again, he said, we're never going to lose that game. So the main thing for me is job done. Job done. Not maybe as impressive as we wanted to do, but job done. Now we go to Wales, and if we win that, then a 13 out of 15 season and potentially a 5 out of 5 November, which is a phenomenal run that the Boks have gone on. So you could be nitpicky. I'm not going to be. I think it's just one of those games. And the fact is it was a monkey of our back, which was the main thing, to be honest.